This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Repairing homebrew kegs, storing equipment in hot garages, and canning homemade yeast starters. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 350. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or you can call them in, leave a voicemail or feedback, but preferably voicemail question to 325-305-6107 and score yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. That's just the practical thing. That's what I would do. I'm one of your co-hosts, Joshua Stube, and joining me as always, he is the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com over there, Mr. James Carlson. And right down there, he is the President-in-Chief keg washer of kegconnection.com, looking snazzy in the beer shirt, Mr. Todd Burns.
Hey, check out that. That's a beautiful shirt, isn't it? I can turn my light on.
Yeah, get the light on. I didn't unplug that. You blamed me this morning for everything that was going wrong in your office.
Yeah, because everything that was going wrong was your fault. That's why I blamed you. Huh? Nice beer shirt, huh?
I do. I like it. You've had that a few years. I feel like you got that for a HomebrewCon or a CBC.
I got it for a HomebrewCon. I think I wore it again last year. So,
did you? Yeah.
I kind of save it for conferences, but I just felt like wearing it today. You know what I mean?
Is that your for nice shirt? Is that your fancy shirt?
It's my fancy beer shirt. Yeah.
I save it for nice occasions. I realized when we started, I'm bald. I forgot my hat. I hold on. I got to put the thing back on. There we go. Get all the way.
Gilligan.
Yeah, he didn't even pay attention. Man, I was waiting. Thank you,
I had
James.
my hat here. I noticed the shirt.
Okay.
As soon as I saw you, I knew something was coming.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Why did you decide to wear that today?
It's episode 350, buddy. I have nothing. Besides being horribly smashed right now, I've just been drinking all day. I wanted to do something to make it a little special, and
that's why I wore my beer shirt for episode 350. You told me it was episode 350 2 days ago.
Yes, yeah. So we were supposed to record Tuesday. Y'all both were on board with it because Todd had a doctor's appointment on Wednesday, which has been our normal recording day now, and I totally forgot to do it Tuesday. I hit the road and we couldn't yesterday, so we are recording this like old times, Thursday, and publishing it like old. Even though the feedback has been from people, they've been saying, "Hey, you publishing it a little bit earlier on Thursdays has been great. I'm catching it at my drive home commute or blah 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 blah." So we'll still go back to that, but for this one, yeah, if I had planned this out better, Todd, I would have just stayed up there longer so that we could have been at the pool doing episode 350. But the episode 50 was special because that's kind of like when James formally joined the show. So we did a live stream. I don't know if you remember, from my house, I believe, right, James? Is that
when you shaved?
It is. I believe that was episode 50 when I shaved my beard.
I thought that was 100 when you shaved your beard.
No, I don't know. They all blur together.
Wasn't there like a bet or something, and you had to shave your beard?
I thought that was episode 50. I thought you and James came over to my house, or am I mixing up? Yeah, James will look it up. Well,
hold on. We may need to place a bet here.
No. People who
a nice $5 bet on this.
People who are keeping up with this may have noticed.
Probably leaving money on the table.
They may have noticed I haven't made a $5 bet with Todd since October of 2022. I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary of not losing $5 bets with Todd Burns. It's I'm going to celebrate. I'm going to buy us all champagne. We're gonna like, woo! All that money I saved not giving to you in $5 bets, I can afford Dom Perignon. Like, I could get the good stuff, man.
All right. I understand. You don't want to bet. What was the answer, James?
What was episode 50 when I shaved?
I'm still waiting for my computer to load.
Oh, shit. Y'all's internet's normally, like, super good, too. It's
I don't know what's going on today. It's taking forever.
Anyway, episode 350, which I'd be remiss if I didn't say, guys, I'm a little surprised that this podcast has lasted this long. Besides that one dark times of 7 or 8 or 9 months, whatever it was, of not doing episodes, 350 weekly episodes. My goodness, that's a long time. I joke a bunch, but I sincerely appreciate both of y'all for helping keep the show going. James, your expertise is what kind of got us back on it because there was only so many.
I got y'all so fooled.
Well, you listen, man. Now that I guess where I'm going with this is now that we have Chat GPT, none of us are going to be on the show anymore. It's just going to be, it's just going to be me, using Chat GPT to answer questions and make jokes and talk in foreign languages.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you would. So you left $5 on the table.
Was it episode 50?
Episode 50.
Okay. Yeah.
Another $5.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for it to load.
Okay.
I think that since you stopped betting me, you've not won like $100.
No,
I've been wrong time after time.
You're exaggerating, but barely. It is like $80. You're right, though. It has been like $80.
I've been consistently wrong since you stopped betting me.
Life is cruel to me, man. Life is cruel.
And I have to tell you, when I searched for HHH episode 50, it immediately popped up as The Hidden Life of a Nazi.
Yeah, that was the original subtitle for the show. And then we got rid of it.
So there's actually another podcast that must be HHH. It's a World War II music podcast.
Well, the
Hardcore History.
I was going to say HCH. Yeah.
Oh, Hardcore History. I bet. Yeah.
Hardcore History. Dan Carlin, the greatest podcast ever produced, probably in the history, no pun intended, of podcasts. Dan, and he's like one a year now or 2 a year. But when they drop, they are worth it. Hardcore History.
They are long, too.
Very long. Yeah. If he's not doing like the, pardon me, even when he does the Blitz format, they're like 3+ hours long.
Oh, no, it's Stephen Ambrose historical foundation or something. Anyway,
is Ambrose he's the one who wrote Band of Brothers, but then he's also the one who got busted for plagiarizing or just making stuff up, right?
it's literally called it's
so.
it's literally called HHH. That's hilarious. I had no idea.
That is funny. So if he plagiarized from people and then I plagiarized from him, that's a double whammy. But anyways, speaking of AI, I was trying to use that to segue. Speaking of AI in other languages, if you're a subscriber at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, you may be thinking, wow, I saw a video. It sounded like James, but it was speaking Spanish. And then Todd, y'all was speaking Spanish, but it wasn't matching with their lips. We, utilizing the power of artificial intelligence, are starting to publish some of our more popular videos that are short. It has to be short and popular because this process isn't cheap. But we are trying to publish it in Spanish, and I guess technically we could publish it in any language. But I made an announcement on YouTube Shorts, our very first short, and I can speak decent Spanish, but not like the version of me that was on that YouTube Shorts. That was freaking, and if you look closely, you could kind of see the glitching. But Hey Gen is a artificial intelligence app I started utilizing to get our content out there in Spanish. And again, we can't do the long form stuff like the podcast. I wish we could, because we've had a lot of Spanish speakers, specifically Mexicans, actual from Mexico Mexicans, not the way some people say Mexicans, but the people, half of my people, they have reached out and said like, oh, I love your show. I love your content. And they happen to speak English, but they're like, man, I wish some of your tutorials were in Spanish. And Todd, you and I have thrown around the idea of having you do stuff in Spanish, but I think it's fair to say of the three of us, you speak the best Italian. that was an Inglourious Basterds reference. You speak the best Spanish, but even then, you don't always conjugate appropriately, and sometimes we use the wrong words. Like Spanish speakers
Spanish is very forgiving. Yeah.
Spanish speakers are very forgiving,
yes, absolutely.
Very forgiving. But we haven't. I've never had the confidence to go, yeah, put me on film. I'm going to say
they're just like English speakers. We're very forgiving as well because. Everybody speaks English differently, right? And we're not like Germans where it's got to be absolutely perfect.
Where they tell you don't try.
Or you get flogged for using the wrong word or conjugation.
Not only do they tell you not to do it right, but then they start speaking English. Like even if they don't really speak English, they would rather have a conversation in terrible broken English than to try to hear you say anything in German.
Somebody told me that the other day. They said they were in France. Oh, it was Rob. He said he was in France and he started trying to speak French. His wife speaks better French, but he speaks the worst French. So he said he started speaking French, and the guy said, "Sir, I will speak English. You are butchering my language."
Exactly. Yeah. Grazie. Yeah, it's what can we say? But yes, you can go to youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Check out, we have a playlist for it. I apologize. Only one person so far has messaged me and they go, Josh, I don't care to have this stuff in my YouTube feed. What can you make another channel for it? No, sir, I can't. Because I'd rather utilize the way that we already have the algorithm, sort of. I mean, our channel's nothing like 6,000 subscribers. There are people in our realm with many, many more on YouTube, but yeah, because the vast majority of people who consume our podcast, and they only care about that and it's audio, blah blah blah. Where I'm going with this though is no, I'd rather just have it as a playlist on our primary one. So if it doesn't appeal to you, please don't be the person who goes and thumbs down it, because that doesn't change it from appearing on your thing. It just stops it from appearing on other people's stuff. So anyway, you can go to youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Check that out there. And if you are a native Spanish speaker, and I don't know how you've made it this far in the show, you're polyglot or whatever, and you have specific content you'd like to see us make in Spanish going forward, you can leave a comment below here. You can go to any of those videos, leave it there. You can email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com or call it in. I'm probably not going to play it on the show, but I'd love to try to speak Spanish with you at 325-305-6107. The last bit.
You're right. I was going to call you on that last one, but you're right. It's just a thumbs down does nothing to change your YouTube algorithm.
Right. Yeah. No, I learned that from Daryl Eves. I think I read a book of his a couple years ago.
Okay.
That was the claim. You were about to call me out. You're going to.
Yep. Yeah. I thought you were wrong. I would have bet you $5 before I looked. Would have lost another $5.
$85. Oh.
Yep.
Last bit of small talk before we move on to the show. Let me make sure it's on. Boom! It is literally the last call if you want to take part of September's Trub Club monthly recipe kit, which is this delicious Todd's ESB. It is just like a normal ESB, but Todd brews it good. And you can see him there on the artwork. What a nice, funny little hat he's got there.
And it's really delicious.
It's
really
incredible. I mean, we're no strangers to buttering you up on your recipes. I think, in fact, one of our 1-star reviews was making fun of me, calling me a suck up to my boss. But your ESB, I'm always torn between your English mild or your ESB as being my favorite beer you brew.
I find it hilarious that somebody would say you suck up to me, because I was like, when I was with my buddies on vacation last week, they were like, you have a very unique relationship with Josh. Like, I can't imagine one of my employees speaking to me the way that Josh speaks to you.
They wait till they see what I make some of our internal company passwords. Like, that might blow their mind.
Yeah, I love that when I look for a password in the program and it's like, Todd sucks. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I just don't know how often you're actually looking. That's all. I'm just trying to see if you're paying attention.
Todd is an idiot.
Yeah, Todd is an idiot. 000.
Pound.
Yeah, pound. Yeah, we got to add in the special characters every now and then. But anyway, no, thank you to our wonderful sponsors for helping us get this Todd's ESB out to everyone. Munton's Malt, of course, hopsdirect.com, of course, and our longest withstanding sponsors, our friends at Imperial Yeast, creators of premium liquid yeast. You can go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join the club at a recipe receiving level. Come brew with us. Join the community. All that fun stuff. And people who are in the Trub Club, y'all's recipes, who if you were slated to receive this month's kit, they already went out. And if you open your package, you should be happy to see that the Kolstange is in there. I am so happy that we got those out. People who have, like, if you were in the every other month recipe and you're not getting it till October, that's when you'll get your stange shipped out to you. And people who are in the lower tiers that don't get recipes, they'll go out later as well. Some people had gotten there sooner, but I'm trying to time out shipping and all that because, really too, I didn't want to overwhelm FedEx that one day. That poor guy had like 40 some odd packages from me alone, and then all the actual packages from Keg Connection. The FedEx guy may have given me the finger. I wasn't paying attention, but. Anyways, a lot of fun stuff is always going on at patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. We appreciate everybody at every level. And again, if you want to get in on that delicious recipe kit, it is the last call. You have till the end of the month to sign up at the every month level to get Todd's ESB. Again, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. With that out of the way, I do believe it's time for listener feedback. I've got listener feedback. Even better, keeping up with what I was trying to make a tradition, I have foreigner listener feedback, or northern foreigner. It's our buddy Craig from Canada, and he's got some feedback about using mini fridges for fermentation.
Hi, Josh, Todd, and James. Just listening to your episode regarding temperature control using a fridge. I've been using a mini fridge, a Frigidaire mini fridge for fermenting. It easily holds a 7-gallon stainless steel fermenter. What's nice about those units is the temperature control right on the fridge itself. So the one I have ranges from 40 to 61 Fahrenheit. When fermentation is going on, it can easily get up to 68 and 70 in the wort itself. So I've been really happy with that, and I've been using that exclusively recently. So it saves money. They're relatively inexpensive units, and obviously they save space as well. So that's what I found with fridge fermentation. So love your show, guys. You do a great job. Always informative and entertaining. So Josh, I don't really care what Todd says about you. You're a great guy. So all the best, guys. Keep up the great work. Thanks.
Thank you, Craig. I don't care what Todd says about me either. It's that was Canada.
I always think of
South Park.
what, South Park?
I was a child when that was all coming out, and that was my here, dude. I'm totally digressing, but it's on brand. My first two judgments on Canada as a kid was in the Attitude Era of WWF when Degeneration X declared war on Bret Hart and Owen Hart and British Bulldog. I thought, I'm like 9 years old, and I thought we're going to war with Canada because of how intense they made it. And then South Park had the Blame Canada from the Bigger, Longer, Uncut movie. Yeah.
Well, and then there's Canadian Bacon. You hadn't seen that?
No, was that a movie?
Oh, yeah. We try to fake a war with Canada for a politician, but you need to check it out.
Yeah, I will. Canadian Bacon. Okay. But yeah, I love Canada. I'd love to go. Montreal is on my to-do list. But anyways, he makes a good point. The thing with fermentation, well, one, you can take the approach like kind of how James and I, for the most part, and our buddy Jonathan and a bunch of people, where if you don't want to have to worry too much about temperature, you can utilize pressure fermentation. And then that sort of eliminates cost. If you have the equipment to pressure ferment, that is, it eliminates the cost and the hassle of all that stuff. But yeah, fermentation, temperature we know is key. And so unless you've got the bread to get your glycol set up and all that, because that's not cheap, yeah, you could get a fridge situation that fits whatever your vessel is, because my 15.9 gallon plastic fermenter won't fit in a mini fridge, right? But a bucket would, or whatever. Yeah. So it is real, like, not to take a vague cop-out answer, but this is one of those ones like, this is a good solution for the people that it would be a good solution for. Does that make sense? Like you're not going to throw you're not going to throw your CF15 in a fridge. That'd have to be one heck of a fridge, but you could definitely get away with buckets or smaller vessels or the brew buckets, or because again, I would argue that the vast majority of people listening to the show and participating in homebrewing are probably doing 5-gallon batches, right? That seems to be standard. But anyways, Todd, any opinion on fermentation temps, except that yours was messed up recently?
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't messed up. What do you mean messed up?
Oh, I thought you
have to explain.
Oh, I thought your glycol reader was off by like 11 degrees, or what were you?
Oh, no. The fermenter,
the thermometer on the fermenter.
Oh, so my problem was ice. I didn't have enough ice to get it down. So what I did was I moved it into my fermenter, turned on the glycol system, and turned it down real quick so I could get the temperature down. And it didn't start bubbling until after the temperature was right, so I think it's fine. I tasted it. The beer's done. That Kolsch is done, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that. I did see that.
It was at 110 last night.
Or 10.
And I decided to leave it till 10:10. And I decided to leave it till this morning. But I turned it down some to slow it down, and it was at 1.007 this morning.
Pretty dry.
I feel like that's where your last Kolsch that you ever brewed finished, and you stopped it. You had the last Kolsch you did.
Yeah, it was still bubbling. I had to stop it. I had to physically turn it down. Yeah.
Did it get so when I was up there Monday, Tuesday, both mornings, it was fairly vigorous. It was pretty cold. Yeah, so it finished in 3 days basically. Yeah. And that was fresh. Oh, wait,
did I brew that? Yeah, I brewed it Sunday.
I finished it
pretty late Sunday.
Yeah.
So
I had a terrible brew day, by the way.
Oh my gosh! So that we should mention that since we're doing small talk. I had everything go wrong that could possibly go wrong, but the worst was I finished I was finishing the boil and I started to cool it down. And it just started foaming, like foam was coming.
Yeah.
I could send you a picture if you want to post it, Josh, but foam just came out of the top and was overflowing, almost like when you do a boil.
Yep.
and it overflows during the boil, except it was in super slow motion. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm looking at everything. And I finally figured out something was going on with my pump. And it was basically causing a bunch of foam. So I finally switched and used my other pump because my system uses two pumps. and everything was fine. So it's something wrong with the pump. I don't know what it was, but anyway,
it was pre-oxygenating. It was
pre-oxygenating.
That's a feature.
No wonder it went to 10:07.
And then I had like 2 or 3 other problems. I texted it to y'all. I don't remember what they all were, but there was like, as I'm transferring it into the fermenter, and I tilted up the pan, so I've got both my hands full. And when I tilted up, the chiller hose burst, so it's shooting water all over the place. I mean, just a shooting water like a giant sprinkler. So I take the hose and I have to pull the beer that's shooting out into the fermenter out, and I shove the hose down to my knee, and I hold it on my knee, and it's shooting water all over my knee and crotch, and put the thing back in there. And I was standing like this with water shooting on me until I got all the rest of the wort out. And then one other thing happened. I forgot what it was, but it was a freaking disaster of a day brewing, at least towards the end. But you know what? I tried the beer, and it seems fine. I tried it this morning at 6:30 in the morning.
If it's fine. Your best batch, that's going to be terrible to replicate.
I know. How will I? Yeah.
How are you gonna? Yeah,
Kolsch is hard though. Kolsch never tastes right until it's done, because you always get such a yeasty taste when you try it
in the fermentation
right away. Yep. I mean, because there's just the yeast taste is so prevalent because it's such a mild beer in the end that it's really hard to know what a Kolsch is going to taste like until it's settled out and cooled down a little more.
I agree. So. Our batch turned out great, and I actually had the day after my pop. Sunday, he confessed he's been taking growlers of our Kolsch with him to poker and sharing. I think he's taking the equivalent of a gallon now, and we just had that party, which I think probably 3.
Why would he admit to that?
I don't know. But I got angry and had some words. I said, I think I called him silly and some other harsh things, but it was he was like, oh yeah, I took some breakfast out to poker. I was like, oh, that's great, good, we have a ton of that. He goes, yeah, and I took the Kolsch. I go, and what? In a growler. I go, oh, okay. He goes, yeah, I did it a couple times. Like, what are you doing, Dad? That's the only beer.
Is that going to affect the 5 gallons I'm supposed to get eventually? You've been talking about.
Yeah, it might. Well,
I figured it would.
No, it might.
Well, I just brewed a Kolsch, so it's not a big deal.
No, we'll figure.
I'll just know that I can now, in good conscience, not give you any beer. Continue to not give you any beer.
Yeah. I haven't participated in the passing, so it doesn't hurt my feelings. But anyway, so yes, listener. Oh, we did the listener feedback. Thank you, Craig, for submitting that. Sorry for digressing so much. A great time to remind you, if and when you call, leave us feedback or leave us a question to 325-305-6107, and we take it on a future episode. You'd get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Like our first question of the day, it's our buddy Stephen O. I wrote Steve-O on here, but I think he's a Steven. Steve-O from Washington.
Hey there, James and Todd and Joshua. I had a quick question about the second use keg that I've purchased. It's a small 1.5 gallon keg from Pico Brew. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And I'm noticing it developed a leak, and it's right where it's on the exterior, right where the steel belt joins with the rubber base. When I push on the seam where the rubber joins the steel, I can sort of get some of the tar sand solution that's sitting inside the keg to come out. And so it's just not a good keg to use for cider or beer. So I'm wondering, is it possible to repair or patch the seam where the rubber joins the steel on the outside of the keg, or am I just out of luck? That is it for my question. Thank you so much for the podcast, and you guys were a blast at HomebrewCon this past year. Hopefully you select my question and give me $25 so I can buy a new small keg from you. Thank you very much.
And Todd, he did. He bought the latest 9-liter keg we sold yesterday. That was our buddy Steve.
Cool.
Which, funny enough, how great are those 9+ liter ones going? That surprised me. They're
Yeah, we didn't order very many because the people we ordered them with told us they didn't sell very well.
yeah, and they're doing
And
great.
of course, they're selling great,
Yeah.
but I mean, those kegs are so nice. I actually used one yesterday for something, and for my wife. I should mention that too. We always make fun of, well, not really cider, but
Seltzer.
when we were at the beach, she really liked High Noons. Have you ever heard of High Noons?
Yeah, they're like Truly, or they're like White
yeah,
Claw.
but a lot of the other ones are really sweet. These aren't very sweet, which she likes because she can't have a lot of sugar. And anyway, I am perfecting a recipe like a High Noon grapefruit that I'm going to put in a small keg so that she'll have something on tap at the pool.
Cool. Did I not tell you the most popular drink by far at Esther's party a couple weekends ago was the batch of my dad called it just like a Topo Chico clone of flavored hard seltzer. It was just a lemon lime with, he diluted vodka into mineral water. So
he did the same thing I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Oh, and people love it. He did that last year at Thanksgiving or Christmas, or maybe it was Esther's party last year too. People love it. It's the easy drinker. It was a hot day. It's refreshing.
Yeah, the whole time we were at the beach, everybody, including all the guys, they were all drinking those High Noons. I mean, except for me.
No, yeah.
I don't drink High Noons.
I don't drink High Noon.
I may have had one.
I may have had 100, but I don't drink no High Noon. All right, so Todd, you are bringing it to the question. You're the keg man. You're also the welder guy that I would think of the group in regards to repair. I don't know how much I would trust a fresh weld or patch job on a keg to be sanitary, but what would you do if you discovered one of your kegs that you picked up had a leak at either, like he said, the seam between the rubber and that, or what? Is there a fix?
James convinced me to buy a welder that will weld stainless a couple of years ago. So he is very proficient at that. So I would send it to James and have him weld it up for you.
Yep, I would absolutely take it to a local welding shop and first ask if they have a TIG welder. And the reason why I'd say TIG is you can isolate the heat a little better than you can with a stick. Plus, it creates a non-porous weld if the guy knows what they're doing. So it'd take a lot of maintenance after the weld to keep it safe and sanitary. So TIG welding, if you look at all the brewing equipment parts, the stainless steel parts, all those welds on those pieces are TIG welded. And the reason is they're sanitary, they're non-porous, and they don't promote any kind of bacteria growth. No. So in other words, you can clean them.
I was trying to give you a hard time. You didn't even acknowledge that. What the hell?
Yeah, no, because he knew the answer. But yeah, Todd was telling people to ship it to you, and you'll do it.
Crap, because we bought that welder, and I don't think we've ever used it for well, maybe one or two times. But yeah, we got to use that. I want to learn how to. I'm a decent welder, but I've never welded stainless. I think there's a pretty big learning curve, though, right?
Yeah, it depends on the thickness. The thicker the stainless, the easier it is to weld. The thinner it is.
Those kegs would be hard, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think that you wouldn't even need to use a rod. You could just use the tungsten tip on and just keep enough argon flowing over the area that you're welding. Clean it really good. The stainless steel, if it's not clean, you'll have problems welding it. But it is doable.
So the one that we have, is it actually some kind of a rod? It's not a...
Yeah, it's all TIGs have a tungsten rod
because
and that's what transfers the current into the metal.
So the welder we bought's a wire welder, but that's an accessory you use because
it's a 3-part. I mean, it's a stick, it's a TIG, and it's a MIG. So you can do it all 3 ways.
I looked up TIG for aluminum, and now we're going to do a welding podcast. I looked up TIG for aluminum the other. I guess TIG's also used for aluminum.
Absolutely,
and
that's the best way to weld.
They actually have wire for it, but they don't have it for stainless. Probably,
but you can use
hard to do, right?
You can use a aluminum rod instead of a wire, and then what you do is you create the puddle with the electrode, and you dip the rod into the puddle, and that's what creates we call it nickels. The nickel pattern, like a bunch of roll of nickels falling on themselves. That's what you want when you lay that bead down.
Yeah.
I'm just nodding my head. Hopefully people on YouTube acknowledge that. I just, yep, that's right, James.
So the
That's
whole
right.
point of
That's
that
right.
is take it to somebody who knows what they're doing and they can weld
Well,
it, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
and
now they may have to cut the rubber off in that area
Well,
just so it doesn't catch on fire, but it can be fixed.
okay.
So he mentioned that it was leaking where the two meet, but I'm sure he realizes this, but the rubber and the stainless leaking probably have nothing to do with each other. So
No.
it just happens to maybe it's either that or it's actually somewhere else, and that's where the liquid's
pushing
coming
through.
out, because we've seen that before.
Yeah. What, in your opinion, I know you've never priced this out, James, but just pulling it out of your butt for the sake of conversation, is it going to cost more than the keg probably to have someone repair it? Okay. So
Yeah, it'll cost more a welder will charge more to fix that than it'll cost to find another one. But you can't get those from Pico Brew anymore, so it may be a collector's item.
yeah, I like the nod he gave to them. Rest in peace. I don't remember if y'all ever had a Pico Brew keg. Y'all had the Pico Brew? Okay. How many did we have in the office? And
Well, it came with one, right, James? Or did our system
No.
not come with one?
No, we had the Zymatic, which is the 5-gallon, and we used our own keg. So
Okay,
that's what I thought
because
too.
we sold them kegs at one time.
we
But
did. We sold
we
2.5
did
and
not
5.
sell them the 1.5, so that was not our keg, and we are not responsible.
The saga of Pico Brew, you know, and I'm like,
Yep, I know.
it was like they came out of nowhere. Their Kickstarter was a gazillion dollars. They had a huge like surfer bus, whatever exhibit at Homebrew
I
Con.
had a really cool display, no doubt about
Really
it.
cool. I know where they spent all that Kickstarter money. And rest in peace. I do think they still have a project. Like there's some open source project trying to keep it going, I believe.
You know, the website for the Zymatic, the brew house, when you go in and sign in, that's the only way you can work that machine, which I thought was a mistake. It's still up and going. The last time I checked about a month ago, and it still works.
See,
Our
yeah.
login still works.
Someone's
so,
keeping it going. Okay.
yeah.
So it's not dead. Long live Pico Bro. I will say, as I mean, I'm joking at their expense. Sorry, some good people probably lost their jobs or whatever. I don't mean to joke at that, but I do. You know, the whole idea behind it. I remember them getting a lot of grief. Remember, people sometimes in this community will become a purist to an extent where they're like, "Well, that's just automated brewing. That's not even brewing," and it's like. Look, if it's making beer and consistently good and someone has the budget and they want to do it that way, good. They're getting into the hobby. They're learning the basics of the whole process. Good for them. If they want to spend their money on that. It's like I use a Keurig in the morning now for coffee, you know, or my electric all-in-one. It's not automated, not the same thing at all. But I just mean having modern conveniences does not negate the validity of what that product yields. People give... well, hell, James, you use a pellet smoker and I want one, and people give that crap all the time. It's like, you don't have to stay up all night with the brisket, making sure temperature's right and throwing in all that. If you don't want to, you just program that bad boy and you can go to bed. No, but old timers like my pop or someone, no, you have to suffer for the meat to taste better. He's never actually said that, but that's the sentiment of those purist. But anyway,
It's not, I will say this, it's not the same, but it's really close.
oh, the one you have.
Yeah, offset smoker or just a smoker like Todd has, there's no substitute for that in the way it tastes in the meat, but it's close.
It is close. Oh, you're being a pure. I forget, Todd. You're kind of a purist with meat smoking. Would you ever switch? Would you ever go to an automated, all-in-one type of pellet smoker?
Well, I mean, that's not a fair question. I mean, I live on a ranch with like 10,000 cords of mesquite laying around me.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
yeah.
No, you're right. That's true. Good point.
I mean, I have all the free wood that a person could use in multiple lifetimes.
Free
So-
Wood sounds like the memoir of my 8th grade self. Anyway, Stephen, thank you so much for submitting that question. Another reminder, if and when
I think that was inappropriate.
if and when you call in your question and we take it on a future episode to 325-305-6107, you get yourself a $25 gift card. If you text that same hotline, you still get a $15 gift card, which I think is pretty good. Like our second question of the day, our buddy Carl A. wrote in. He said, fellow Texan, Is it okay to store kegs and my electric kettle in a hot garage? I just got a new to me Brewzilla. My wife says it cannot stay in the house. I'm worried the garage temps will overwhelm the electronics on board my Brewzilla. Thanks for everything, Carl. It does get hot here. It is miserably hot. I've had the G40 in my garage since getting it 2 years ago or 18 months ago, and the heat has not, done anything to it. Apparently, it can withstand, the temperatures that humans can withstand. James, what is your opinion on storing electronics in non-temperature controlled environments?
It's all solid state parts inside that board, so I think I wouldn't be afraid to store it in there.
It'd have to get really, really hot or really, really cold, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they make electronics a lot better than they did, several years back. So I wouldn't worry about it. Like I said, you've had yours in there for 2 years and no issues. So I wouldn't worry about it.
And I was going to say, too, to also prove a point, but we could argue maybe some electronics are built differently. We've moved into this house February of 2021, and I've had a fridge in the garage the entire time. 2 fridges in my garage. The biggest flex I have as an adult is I have 2 fridges in my garage. When I was a kid, that was like a rich person's thing. Now fridges cost nothing. I'm going to have 4 fridges in this garage. But anyway, neither fridge have given me any issues at all. They work great. And I would think that those might be more fragile than the components on like a Brewzilla would be. Do you know, right? Like, I mean, because they're constantly
exposed to a whole lot more temperature and heat. I wouldn't worry about it. If it was mine, I wouldn't have a problem storing it in a garage.
And that probably goes for all equipment, right, Todd? You're no stranger to 1, having a crap ton of equipment, and then 2, storing said crap ton in a non-temperature controlled thing, because I've had to climb up ladders to your upstairs storage out there in the barn, and you keep... I mean, I don't actually know if any electronics are up there, but you keep all extra kettles. You keep kegs sometimes up there. You have the cooler brew is up there. No, wait, one of those like mash and boil type systems was up there. You have like a turbo condenser up there. You keep a lot of stuff. Is that just for convenience or also because, the temperature's not going to do anything to it?
I think we're missing the 900-pound gorilla in the room with this whole discussion. Well, let's go back to his question in the first place and
I know where he's
talk
going
about
on
what
this.
the issue is here. I think he should frame out the inside of his garage, put an air conditioner unit in there, and move his wife's car out the side. Because if she won't let him brew in the house, he's got to have a place to brew, and that's the issue. That's the issue here. I mean,
the wife. Yeah.
Okay, I thought he was going to say the wife's the issue.
Yeah. What I would do is put the wife in the garage.
Yeah. No, not the wife, but finish out the garage, throw her car out in the driveway.
Yeah.
And problem solved.
Problem solved. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
We both knew where you were going with that. What do you? Yeah,
that has something to do with the wife.
I don't know if people still use the acronym or the abbreviation for she who is in charge or she who must be obeyed. I believe. Swimbo, right? Do you remember that online? Like on Homebrew Talk, they'd always call their wives on the Homebrew Talk forum "she who must be obeyed," and they would shorten it to like Swimbo or whatever.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, well, you weren't active on the forums that much, but people since the dawn of time and man have been brewing, we've had to obey our wives, and it's not. My wife will also not let me keep my stuff inside, and that was one of the reasons why I started building a brew area and adding the RO system and all that in the garage, because I'm like, you know what? Fine, I'll just put all the modern conveniences to me.
You did exactly what I'm suggesting.
Yeah, I didn't finish out the garage, but I'm building
half of it, right? Or part of it.
A third of it is my office I'm in right now.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
but the brewing area is actually in the non-temperature controlled part of it. But you're right. Yeah, I told my wife what I'm doing, Carl. I told her. I said, "You listen here. If you're okay with this, I'm gonna get your dad to help me. If you're okay with this, honey, you're not okay with it. Okay, well, when you're at,
that's the worst part is when you want something like that done, you're like, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm gonna build. Well, I'm gonna get your dad to come help me.
It's always her dad.
No,
and my dad.
let me explain. Help me. Yeah. Help me means
do it.
You watch him do all the work.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And
we are kindred. What do you say that?
Kindred
spirits.
Yes.
Her dad and I.
Oh yeah.
Because that happens to both of us.
Yeah, and my dad. You, my dad, my father-in-law all have experience with me. I can't even find the right wrench. I play incompetent to a T, my friends.
Yes.
My dad, I think sometimes still thinks I don't know what a crescent wrench is. I love it. It's like, can you grab the? Never mind, I'll go get it. I'm like, oh sure, pop. Yeah, man, come on. Who's the smart one here? Eh? But anyways, no, Carl. Yeah, to make a long story short, after I drug your question out so long. It is not going to be an issue. Like James said, if most of them are solid state, if not all of them, it would have to be extreme temperatures. I don't know where you're at in Texas, but barring that you're not in the Chihuahuan desert or whatever parts are the hottest here in our state, I think you're going to be fine in your garage. If not, blame your wife for why your Brewzilla broke and have her pay for the new one. I mean, that's fair is fair. And we do what we have to do. So, Carl, thank you so much for submitting your question. The final reminder as we go into the final question that when you text 325-305-6107, you get yourself a $15 gift card. But even better, my friends, there's more. You could call it in, leave a voicemail. I might use that voicemail on a future episode. And then you get the $25 gift card to techconnection.com. Like our last question, it's a voicemail from our buddy Aaron from North Dakota.
Hi, this is Aaron from North Dakota. Just listened to your guys' podcast about using DME to make a yeast starter. I was wondering if you guys have ever tried or know of anyone trying using 2-row to make a gallon-sized wort and then pressure canning it and having it for future starters and just keeping it on the shelf for months or whatever. I was wondering if you guys had tried it and if you guys had any off flavors for like them being stored for too long or something like that. Anyways, love your guys' podcast. Just started listening to you guys and I've been going through a lot of it. So thank you guys. Bye.
Aaron, if you're just brand new, you could ignore episodes 48 through episodes 1. Just doing you a favor. I promise you didn't miss anything. Starting from the beginning, no, none of us have tried it. I'm speaking on y'all's behalf. None of us have stored starter at all, as far as I know, right? You've made starters, but you used it for that.
Starters, and I've stored yeast, collected yeast, harvested yeast from the conical, but I don't think I've ever done a starter and then kept it.
Now,
like you stated,
is it Omega?
Great idea.
Who makes Proper, Todd? Is Proper starter? Is that Omega? I think it's Omega. I'm not sure.
I think it is. It is Omega.
Right? Yeah. Let me tell a story real quick, and y'all can tell me if I'm not comparing apples to apples. Once upon a time, back before they sponsored the show, but we were avid users of theirs, Imperial Yeast used cans for their liquid yeast, and all was well in the world, and people loved their product. Dummy Gilligan here was doing a brew day, I think for a brown ale with his father. It was the can of Independence, and I took it out of the fridge too early. I took it out like during the boil, and you're supposed to pitch cold. It was very much written all over the packaging, pitch cold, don't shake, do whatever. I take it out like during the boil because I know what I'm doing. I'm a pro brewer. We just started brewing together. The year was 2017. It's sitting on a picnic table getting warm. I picked it up, kind of shook it around as I'm looking at it as it's time to pitch. Because I was like, oh, I'm going to stir it up a little. And
this is the can that says don't warm up or shake?
Yes, that same can.
Okay.
That same can that says pitch cold, do not shake. That can. And very explicitly says, do not let it warm up, pitch cold. Yeah, that can. But this guy was a genius, Todd. Past Josh knew everything. And so it's warm. It's been, how long do you think between the average boil and time to pitch goes by? 90 minutes, 2 hours? Right? Like, let's say 2 hours. It was 2 hours of sitting outside. Right. Yeah, in the hot Texas sun. And who knows what the temperature got to, but I'm the one, it's about to be time to pitch. I'm the smarty pants who's like, oh yeah, okay, let me get this here. Let me swirl it around. Yeah, Dad, I know what I'm doing. And as soon as I touch the top of the can, blows up in my face. You remember, James? I called you.
Yeah, you sent me a picture too. I should have kept it.
Didn't your daughter think you'd been shot?
She
or
got
something?
yeah. She goes, "Daddy's been shot."
She had blood, right?
Yeah, my lip, which I got
his lip.
I got big lips. It wasn't hard to find my lips with the can, but it cut me, sliced me open. I'm bleeding down my face. My daughter, who was on the playground, not even 10 yards or 20 yards away, Daddy got shot. And my dad.
Oh God, can you imagine if I'd have been there?
It was but yeah, I did. That's why I probably didn't think to call or text you. I was like, James can help. And my question, I sent him the photo. My question was, what do I do? Can I still use the yeast that's in there? And the batch ended up fine because, we still had a little under half of the can. So not all, it blew up the top, but the whole can didn't explode per se. I do think some blood may have gotten in there though, but
a little protein ain't going to hurt.
My whole point being with that fun story at my expense, is that the same thing you think if you make wort, that's not gonna have fermentables in it, but he's not talking about making yeast and wort.
He's just talking
about the wort. So that couldn't
He's
happen.
talking about having the wort liquefied already.
Perfect.
So that he can use it as a starter.
So
later.
explosions then, in theory, aren't going to happen. They're not possible, right? Because
but I would suggest this to him is there's really no need in doing that because it just takes just a few minutes to dissolve some DME into liquid, boil it, and cool it down. But if he's in a hurry, it's already cool, it's already made. But just be sanitary about it.
Right.
To answer his question too, no, we have never done that.
Yeah. No, hey, you're not giving me credit. I started by saying, first off, none of us have done it. I actually, because I knew that's what you're going to say. You're going to go, nope, never done it. Next question. And I'd say, what's
up? But you were able to actually make the answer 10 minutes long. That was impressive.
Thank you. This is why I get paid the mediocre bucks. Okay. I think, like you said, James, I mean, I understand how it could be a convenience for future Aaron, right? Of like, but like what you're saying is it's really a short process to make a starter if you have to make a starter. And I can hear, oh, that's Owen from Imperial calling into the show. What's that, Owen? You don't need to make starters ever. You actually tell people don't do that. Just
see, I that's me. I don't make starters.
Well, remember,
I just use the free yeast that's up in the cooler.
Yeah, that's right. Well, even before they were sponsors though, and we had them on the show, and when we went to HomebrewCon Portland, remember that was his whole thing was don't make starters. We were like, oh, what do you think about making starters? Just don't do it. You don't need to. Don't do it. It's like, oh, is that like a business pitch? He goes, no, I'm just telling you.
And we need to get him back on the show.
We do. We absolutely need to do Owen or who.
I think he is very interesting, and that'd be a great. You know what? I'll even push this out there, Josh. We should have people send in some questions specifically about yeast, so that we can collect some and have Owen on the show soon.
That's a great idea. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Thank you. That's a great idea. Absolutely. Yeah. Send your questions in. Call them in. Even better. I could have a whole episode where I'm just giving away $25 gift cards of Todd's money to a bunch of voicemail yeast questions. But that's a great idea because there are. We did it on various niche topics like the sanitizer one where it's like, man, we should really ask Rick that, or yeast ones all the time. We're like, man, we Owen is the one to ask that. We have an idea, but Owen's the one who should take that. You're right. So yes, send them in, call them in 325-305-6107, leave them in the comments below here and I can source them from there, or email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com. I'll make sure we get them. And Todd, you can maybe reach out. You're better at booking people. I don't know what it is. Like recently we had people we were working with and I told you like, I can't get a hold of him. He won't reply to my emails. And then you wrote one and then he replied. It was
Owen, last time about how long ago was the Brewers Conference?
The HomebrewCon?
Yeah.
HomebrewCon was July.
Late June.
Or late June, pardon me. Thank you.
During that, he said he would love to be on the show again. So I know he will do it. Yeah.
Was that though when he was buying everyone ranch water? Because we were all really drunk and said a lot of things. We don't.
I know, but I think he meant it legitimately.
No, I do too.
I think his response when I asked him about it was something like, "I thought you would never ask again."
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
No, he's a cool dude. We went to his facility. We need to get him to the ranch. Is what we need to do.
Oh, that would be.
Oh,
fun. We'd
yeah.
have a
Todd
good time.
asked him that, and he said he would love that.
See,
remember Todd?
He, he's got to do some vendor visits in Texas. Like he has to.
Yep. I'm going to reach out to him because it'd be really cool to have him on the show here. But we shouldn't wait. That should be another show.
The whole
Yes,
you're
absolutely.
right. I agree.
It'd
We
be
should
fun.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
Aaron,
He'd love it.
So Aaron, wrapping up Aaron's question. And people can leave comments here for this if you think it's worth it. Now, this is just our opinion, but like James said, the act of making the starter is so simple and it's not laborious at all. I just don't see the point. And the canning and all that, I'd be more worried about, James, because I know people who use home canners that get infection from, or they didn't purge it right or whatever. Like our buddy Kenny has told us a couple times, man, I finally dialed in canning because it can be a pain in the butt, right? Of not having oxygen lingering in there and all that stuff. So you don't want to can a gallon of wort and then realize somewhere down the line when you go to use it, crap, now I have to make a fresh starter anyway. So
it's just peace of mind. If at some point down the road, if you want to use it, then you're thinking, oh, do I want to risk the fermentables in case it goes bad? Whereas you make it fresh, you're not going to have to worry about there being an issue.
Yep, absolutely. So Aaron, thank you for submitting that question. Guys, that's all I have for this week's show. Sorry I didn't make 350 more special than just wearing a stupid shirt and hat, but episode 400, we'll definitely go all out. We'll plan something real good because like that Shania Twain song, looks like we made it. Like no one thought we would make it this long, but Todd and
we
James
should
are still the one.
do 400 from like the Caribbean or something.
Yeah.
And we'll wear our Gilligan skipper shirt on the island.
Deal. Let's not spend another penny of Homebrew Happy Hour money, and we can afford to send one of us on a trip in a year.
Yeah. We'll just have. That's perfect. I didn't think of that. I'll just be in the Caribbean.
That's what. Yeah. Hey guys, hear me out. Yeah. Hear me out, guys. I'm gonna be on a 2-week long cruise. And y'all are going to stay back. Okay. All right. Let's do episode 400.
No. I want to be on an island.
I want to be on the
island. Yeah.
I
like it. I like it.
Anyways, guys, thank y'all so much for your time.
We'll even do a 3-hour tour. I'll treat y'all to a 3-hour tour.
In our outfits, that sounds like flirting with disaster.
Yeah, nobody would know what I was dressed as. Somebody let this banker in.
Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. Or, of course, you could call it in. Leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107. You'll become Todd's best friend. But even better, you'll get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. How many times can I say that in an episode before you get it? Anyway... Thank you to our sponsors like Munton's Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Munton's Malt, give them a try by joining our Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial Yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thanks for listening.